Hi, welcome to today's series where we're going to be using a TheraBand and a block. Now, if you don't have a yoga block at home, you could use a thick book, you could use a recipe book, you could also ignore the block and just do what we're going to be doing with everything else. So we'll use that in a moment. So we're going to start with taking our band and placing it behind the back of your body. You want to try and get it as broad across the back as possible because we're going to be using this for a little bit of awareness of our back body. So we're going to start in an all fours position. So as you come down, you've got your hands onto the floor holding against the band and the knees underneath the hips. So in this position, you want to feel like you've got the support around your back body with your band. And we're going to start to lower the shoulder line. So bringing your chest toward the floor, and you'll feel your shoulder blades narrowing to each other. And then you're going to press yourself away from the floor. And then again, coming down and pressing up. So we're sort of telling our bodies here that when we collapse between the shoulders, that's not the ideal place for us to be. We lose tension at the back of the band, and when we're pressing away from the floor, we've got really good connection of muscles that are coming under our shoulder blades and around to the front of the ribs. And that's why this is such a fantastic exercise, because it really gives the muscles, the serratus anterior, that feedback. Pausing here, what we'll do next is take an arm and you're going to thread the needle. So you keep a hold of the band as you go to the side, lengthening through your underarm, bending into the support arm, and then returning yourself back. And then we're going to go in the other direction. So stretching your arm toward the side and returning up. So as you're pulling with the band, you're going to feel like you're bringing or encouraging those ribs to wrap around with you in the direction you're going toward. The band just gives you the feedback of sliding through the ribs. Now, whenever we do rotations, you just want to be mindful that you don't overdo the work. You don't want to feel like you're going to push yourself into places where you feel unsafe in your movements. And this one feels so good. The feedback of the band against the back of the ribs is really good. Now, I'm not trying to get all the way to the floor, even though I could probably go there. I'm really wanting to work through my arms and the band to get a really good feeling through my upper arms and support. We've got one more time to go each side. I could do this for many more times because it really does feel so good and such great feedback in the band. And then placing the two hands again underneath you. Make sure you've got the perfect sort of resistance for you. And then just feeling again where your set position is. We're going to start with just an arm movement. So taking one arm forward in front of you, getting it to maybe the height of your shoulder, and then bringing it back down. And then the other slide going out and coming back. Now, as you do these moves, again, you're going to coordinate how you're holding your band, what feels good and comfortable for you. The length of your band, the strength of your band are all going to be slightly different from what I'm using potentially. So just making sure that you are working to your level and comfort. So again, the band is providing a lot of information to your brain and to your nervous system and your muscular system of going, okay, is this where I'm working from? So you're starting to hopefully undo some of the patterns of using sort of the upper neck muscles to do these arm movements. One more time as we reach each arm forward for their last little round, and then bringing yourself back. From here, you're going to tuck your toes if you can, and you're going to bring yourself up into a kneeling position. So we're going to have the band slightly tighter holding on. Again, your grip will be dependent on you. Reposition the band at the back of the body. We're going to take a seat down towards our feet and stretch our arms forward in front of us. And then gently bouncing yourself up again. So it's not a vigorous move. It's a controlled motion. Hips go back, arms go forward, and return up to standing. So if you've ever done an exercise we call sit to stand, it's literally you come out of a chair and you stand yourself up. It's really hip flexion as we go backward, and then hip extension as we stand ourselves up. And we'll go for 2 more of these, just reaching out long and then pulling the elbows in. And then the last one like that, reaching out long and pulling the arms in. From here, we're going to send the arms all the way out in front of us. Hold that line, and you're going to lower your arms towards the floor. Find your quadruped position, and then bring yourself all the way back up again. And again, bringing yourself down. So you can see it's still a sit to stand motion. The pelvis is moving forward as I stand up onto the knees, and then the pelvis is moving into a fold as I go down toward the floor. We've got another 3 like this as you bring yourself up and down. And 2 more. The whole series is getting built as we go from one move to the next. And last one as we send ourselves up. This time as you take your hands to the floor, leave them there. Raise your hips to the sky, lowering your heels to the mat if you can get them there. And then returning to your knees and bringing your whole body up again. And then again, taking yourself down. If your band changes position, just readjust. And stretching out the backs of the legs and down onto the toes. And you'll know, working with me, I'm very particular about how your feet are working. So we're working through the hinges of your toes as you're coming down and as you're taking weight onto them, and then feeling the lengthening of your calves as you're stretching your feet to the floor. The form is everything. So if you're noticing in your body that you don't have a good straight long line, then you know what? Keep your knees bent as you take yourself into the stretch of the down dog. I'll do one more like that. So if you needed to have bent knees, keeping them soft as you move your bottom backward and then coming forward. On the next one, we're going to come down, and what we're going to do is take a little lie down onto our belly. So still keeping the band across the back of the body. Again, just reposition your hands as is necessary, and then just holding gently onto the band strength. So from here, we're going to go into a raise of our chest. So peeling the top of the head forward. And now you've got somewhere to feel, where do I want to peel over or around? And that's the band height, and then coming down. So it's important that that band is sort of tucked under your arms and not under your waist. And then again, leading your chest bone forward and up. Now, there are variable positions you could use for where you want to set your hands. I quite like the hands just in front of the shoulders and the hands a little bit wider than the shoulder line, so more to the width of the mat. So as I'm coming up, I'm still keeping my elbows and forearms on the ground for now. I'm doing my best to keep my lower body relaxed. And again, just peeling into the upper back, but just having that information behind me of where it feels good. And we've got one more like that as we peel our body all the way toward the top and bringing it down. Similar to what we just did in our kneeling position, we're now going to take those arms and stretch them out and away from us. So you still have the support of the arm and the band, and we're going to begin to raise an opposite arm and leg. So floating the arm, floating the leg. Now you'll notice that my body is just a little bit lifted away from the ground surface so that my nose is nowhere near the mat surface, and I've got that little upper back beginning of rolling backwards. So that's going to help the lift of my arm and of my leg behind me. So just doing the alternating pattern is somewhere where you're most welcome to stay. If you'd like to progress on with me, we're going to do a swimming series. So from here, we're going to raise both arms and both legs and then lowering down. So if this position is really causing you discomfort in your low back at all or in your neck, then just stay with the single leg versions. We're going to do one more with the 2 legs and arms raising and maintain your lift. And then we're going to start with our alternating pattern. So kicking one up and one down as you move through, keeping the rest of the body as steady as possible. Beautiful long lines from your hands all the way to your feet. And one more kick to each leg, hold your position, and then bringing yourself all the way down. By now, you should be feeling a little bit of your upper back muscles working, not your neck muscles, but the ones between the shoulder blades. So from here, what we're going to do is going to make our way back up onto all fours to finish this downward series. So again, finding your position where you have your band firmly placed across the back of your body. So again, this is helpful to not want to collapse in what we're about to do, which is a plank. So as we do the movement now, there are variations. We can start with just taking one leg back and tucking those toes under, and then return your knee. And then the other leg can stretch away and return the knee. Now you're going to know in your own body if you're ready to progress it. Otherwise, just stay with those. So we're going to take one leg away, and then we're going to take the other leg away, and then bring the first knee down, and then the second knee down. I always like to switch my legs so that I keep challenging my body in how it likes to do things of different patterns. And again, pressing out and in and alternate over. So again, that band provides so much information to you. And we've got another one to each side. So keeping the position of your upper body, which, let's be honest, is where most people really lose their form in a planking orientation, and then traveling in. I think that was it. So from there, we're going to bring ourselves up. And now I know you're asking, when are we going to use the block? Well, it's about to happen. So you're going to be taking your block and you're going to make it so it looks like that. It goes against the wall and it goes against the side of your hip. So just making sure that you are a good distance away from the wall where you are not going to feel like that block slides away from you. Let's bring the band now forward and in front of you. And again, you've got to decide how long your band is going to be. When you begin and your arms are out in front, you can see there's a drop in the tension of the band. That's okay. What I'm after is that your two arms are staying outstretched in front of you. I'm already making a little bit more room because I know what's coming up. So we're going to take the hand that's closest to the wall. That's my left hand for now. And you're going to bring it up as though you're going to draw it across the wall, and you're going to bring it out in front of you, and then bringing it over and returning it to its starting point. You're then going to take the other arm and stretch, opening, looking in the direction of the band, and then coming back. So one arm is staying in front as the other arm is making a little semicircle around and forward. And then the other arm stays reaching out in front of you as you pull against that resistance and twist. And again, lifting up and looking backward and travel it forward. And again, opening out to the side and returning in. We'll do one more to each side as we move into this beautiful rotation in our upper body, strength in the arms. You'll be surprised at how much this is starting to work through the backs of the arms. From here, we're just going to take that block and we're going to bring it just down low. We don't need it for now. You're going to take your band to the back of your knee and you're going to inch your foot forward a little bit more so that we can go into a slight lunge action. So we're going to open up through the back knee, and then from here, you're going to start to raise your heel and do a bicep curl. So bend your elbows, straighten your elbows, lift the heel, lower the heel. So we're doing it in tandem. And 3. We're going to go for 5 because that's just a nice number that I like to work with. And then the last one, holding it up and lowering it all the way down. Pretty good. Let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So your setup is bringing your leg forward, so the one that's closest to the wall, and then making your block go right up against the wall and the side of your hip. So you adjust your feet as necessary and just making sure that block is staying steady against the side of you. Sending the arms out in front, nice long position. So we're making sure that we're not doing that forward-backward motion we did earlier. We want to keep really settled with our shoulder blades against the rib cage. Send your arm wall up and all the way back into your beautiful big twist, and then sending the arm forward. Now I use my eyes to follow my hand so that my spine is turning as much as it needs to. If you need more or less resistance, just adjust. And again, feeling that the front arm is staying looking forward in a parallel position and then pulling against the resistance of the band. We've got 2 more of these to go to each direction, really feeling strong through the moves. Of course, we have a little cameo of Bear walking across our screen. He's not happy because the rain just started and he thought he was going to go somewhere fun. All right, last one is we're going to open everything out and then bringing it back. Now you might find in those moves that one is going to be a little easier than the other. We're going to take that band to the back of your knee and thigh, move the block out of the way, and then we're going to walk our foot a little further forward. So you're going to be in the lunge of the back leg. So just be mindful when we go into lunges like this. You want to feel, I like the image of closing a drawer. So everything goes forward or everything goes backward, right? So you don't want to be in an arch of your lower back. That's not going to be healthy for your joints. So going into the lunge, find your position, and it should feel a little challenging as we start to bend the arms, raise the heel, and then lower them both. So moving the two joints at the same time, adding a level of complication and coordination to your brain. And then one more time, bringing it up and lowering it all the way down from there. All right, so being in a comfortable position now for kneeling, we're going to take the band across the back of your shoulder area. So you're just going to slip it around the back of the shoulder so it's very well supported, and then bringing it to the front, and we're going to cross the band over to the opposite side. Again, it is entirely up to you how much strength you use to hold the band. I like to feel like it's a seat belt or a sash across the front of the body, and you're just going to hold your other hand next to your hip. I'm doing this in kneeling. If kneeling is not good for you, please feel free to stand up and do this movement. We're going to start with a shoulder roll. We're doing 3 only. So we're making the movement of the shoulder coming up, around, and forward and back. And the band, again, is always going to provide a little bit of information. Go the opposite direction. So when we move our shoulders, sometimes the body-brain map gets a little bit smudged. So you want to make sure that you're doing this as smoothly as possible. And then we're going to open the arm out to the side, bringing it up toward your ear line, and then lowering it back down. We'll take it forward this time, up toward the ceiling, to your ear line, and then bringing it down. So we're just alternating, taking the arm out and up, and then bringing it down to the side, and then forward and up, and then bringing it down. So we go one more time of each of these as they go open. So the band is creating a sense of a pinning of your shoulder. Or again, you know, so many people like to use the upper neck muscles as they do this movement. All right, so we're going to make a little bit of a challenge with your balance. My head's going to pop out of screen, but that's okay. You'll get the gist of what we're doing. And you're going to find that block again. Remember, if you don't have a block, you can stand on any little surface you want to. So from here, we're going to be taking a stand with our opposite leg to the banded side. So from here, you're going to stand yourself up. As you do, you're going to raise your arm to the ceiling, raise your knee in front of you, and then lower your leg behind. That might be enough. Or drop your knee down and then bring yourself up again and raise your arm, raise your leg, and then taking your leg behind and lower. And again, bringing it up. Find as much smoothness in your movement as you can, and down. And then just 3, and then we'll change to the other side. So again, you're welcome to stay standing if you want to, otherwise bringing yourself down. So lowering and lifting away from the ground is a really important thing that we can do in our strengthening of our bodies. So you know how many times we get up and down? All right, so find that really lovely supportive cuffed position behind, bringing the band across to the opposite side. So just 3, you know what's coming. We're going to roll the shoulder backwards. So when we roll the shoulder backwards or we roll the shoulders forward, you'll feel different sensations. So noticing how that is. Change direction and seeing where do you want to move from instead of moving from where we're meant to be moving. And then we're going to start with our arm reaching out to the side and up in line with our ear height, and then bringing it down. So the smoothness of the movement. Arm travels straight up and then bringing it down. So again, I'm going to go over and over how supportive this band feels to the shoulder muscles, to identifying where the joint is in the moving part of you. One more time, side motion, and then one more time, forward motion. And again, if you didn't have that block, you can still do the exact same movement we just did, but just having your foot on the floor. Doesn't make a difference to me. So we're going to place your opposite foot onto the block to the shoulder side. And then from there, we're going to raise up into your stand, and we're going to raise your arm towards the ceiling, lifting your knee. And then you're going to lower your leg down. Remember, that might be all you need to do, or bring it all the way to the floor. And then again, standing yourself up and bringing your arm and your knee toward the ceiling, and then lowering down. Good news is we only have one more. I feel like we could have done so many more than all of that. but it's almost time for us to finish. What would a Pilates session be without a set of bridging? So we've got one more movement to make, and that's going to be coming to lie down onto your back. And as you do, you're going to bring that band just across the front of your pelvis. Again, you're going to notice where you need to hold for the correct tension. So setting yourself up nice and easy, and we're going to start by rolling or raising the hips up into the air and bringing it down. So your hand position is just going to hold onto the band surface so that you get that feedback of your pelvis rising into something above you and then gently lowering towards the mat. So we'll just go for another 3 like that. And remember, the band is not the most perfect thing, so you've got to keep changing it. Love to think of Pilates with equipment and springs and straps and bands as kind of like a dance partnership. You just have to mingle with each other. We'll go for one more time, staying raised with the hips up into the air. And then from here, we're going to do a little bit of foot motion. So we're going to go up onto the balls of the feet. Remember, if that's not pleasant for you, don't go there. Roll back onto your heels, raising the toes off. So we're just moving from the toes to the heels. So your aim is to try and keep yourself elevated in the air without slipping into your lower back, and then getting all those 10 toes pressed into the mat surface. One more time to roll back, and then you're going to stay up on the balls of the feet. From here, we're going to raise one knee towards you. Yes, it's a bit of a challenge. And then lower down. Maintain the heel lifted on both legs as you replace your foot down onto the floor. So you've got a lot of calf strength working through here. Remember, most of your feet muscles are actually attaching to the back of your leg in your calf area. So it's not just the calves, it's actually foot muscles that are getting a little workout. One more time each side, and bringing the last one all the way towards the top. And then resting your body all the way back down to the mat, lowering your heels comfortably. All right, time to say goodbye to the band as we bring our block in for our last session. We're going to do a little bit of a sort of releasing of our pelvis and our front of our hips. So the different options we're going to go for. The first one is going to keep it in a nice flat position down underneath your pelvis. So just resting the back of the hips onto the block surface. And this might be enough for you. We're going to take it into stages, and I really encourage you to make sure that you are feeling comfortable and safe in every one we do. So your first motion is to lengthen the legs out and allow the flop of your feet and the flop of the arms to happen. So we would stay here the whole duration for probably about 10 breaths. I'm going to take it to the next level each time so that we have a few moments in each shape. But if as we go through it starts to get too challenging for your body, then just stay with the one that's the better one. So what we do next is we flip the brick over onto its more tall side, but still in a nice square rectangular shape, And then again, maybe this is enough, or can you send the legs out? So with every position, you're going to notice there's more arch coming into your body. The lengthening down the fronts of the body is what my aim is. I do not want you to feel tension and gripping at the back of your spine. And then again, if you're comfortable there, stay. Otherwise, for those of you that have got it in your bodies, you're going to flip it now into its shortest brick position and its tallest. So again, the space underneath you is really narrow. So just make sure that you are settled onto the sacrum really well before you then allow your legs to lengthen. So in this position, this is the deepest stretch. It's very energizing for your kidneys behind you. There is a little compression in the lower back, but of a good nature, not of a negative nature. So again, you've got to feel at ease and comfortable in this stretch. Huge opening through the front pillars of your torso. Take a good breath in and out. I hope you have enjoyed every position that you've been in, and then bending the knees, allow the body to remove the block out of the way, and then just resting everything back towards the floor. So again, I'm going to leave you in this position as you reintegrate into your day and into your world. I hope you enjoyed the series with me today. and that you feel a sense of strength in your arms and opening in your hips and strength in your lower body, and that you have some new ideas to use your trusty TheraBand.